All right, Kenman here. Welcome to the customization station. All aboard. The train is about to leave the port station. Whatever. Today we have the Artisan Cutlery Arroyo. This is a Waylons knife. Waylon won this on my 7K giveaway, and we are getting around to doing the custom job for him, which was part of the prize that he won. So we are gonna KDK customize this up. Waylon's preferences style right now. Who's excited? Let's take some last looks. Never gonna look like this again. I've already done one Artisan Cutlery Arroyo once. Great knife. Boom. There it is. Let's get out the board. Set the table for success. Boom, boom. As we do here. There it is. And so we'll get going right into it. I'll talk about what we're going to be doing as we go. For now, I'm just going to time lapse the tear down so we can get to the good stuff. And boom. Now we are all completely disassembled. We have a couple things we're actually going to do to this one, but we'll start off with the scales. So we'll bring these to the kitchen, wash them off, and get to the next step. Away we're ready to go. Let's do a die. I've got them on these hooks. I have the die heated up and ready to go. I'm going to put these in, and then we can talk about it a little bit if you haven't seen one of these before. So this is die project like 60 something. I guess I didn't really say that it was a die project because it was a multi-stage project. Here we are. I'll put it in the label in the title of the video. But yeah, so I have RIT die, about 2 ounces of the RIT die and about 20 ounces of water. I have it heated up to just under boiling. You just want it to be hot. The heat activates it. You could do it at room temperature, but it goes significantly slower, like hours instead of minutes. So when we've got it heated up just about boiling, some people will put it all the way to boil, but it's not necessary. So this looks awfully orange. And we're out. Why is that so orange? Okay, we're back. I accidentally must have mislabeled. It said new yellow. I know one of my yellows looks orange, but it dyes yellow. But it was definitely going more orange than I wanted. And we're doing a fade starting off with yellow. So I really need a base of yellow. So what I've done is I switched it. I'll move these over for a second. I showed you off camera. I threw it in this container right away. The water neutralizes it and stops the dye. Ooh, this is getting hot. Turn that down just a little bit. I said you don't really need it much more than boiling. So you can see this already kind of added a slight orange tint. We want it yellow and we're fading it to red. So I'm going to hit a whole base of just yellow. So I have not ruined yet, but it did start going orange. I guess I mislabeled, but we're going to start this over. We're going to get it in this yellow. I know this is more of a mustardy yellow. The other one is more of a brighter yellow. But we'll still be able to get that yellow coat. So what I do when I put them in there is you swish them around, make sure there's no air bubbles. Because if there's an air bubble, air bubbles on the piece is basically a spot that is now resisting and not collecting dye. And so my hand is all turning red, but there's an air bubble there. You go and take it out where the air bubble was, it'll be a lighter color and it won't be even. Since we want an even fade, just want the first entire coat to be nice and solid, no bubbles, get this nice yellow color. And then when we finish with a good yellow base, then we'll do the motor drop to do the fade. So we'll see that on the next stage. I'm gonna let these sit in here for a minute or two and get nice and yellow. So we'll let that go for a little bit and check back. All right, this yellow is doing what it's supposed to do. I also have it way too hot, which is making it go faster. A little bit harder to control with that speed because you basically seconds translate to a darker shade quicker than if it's not as hot. It's a little slower, but success. That actually worked out great. I'm not noticing any orange. It was such a light amount that it sat in that other color that it didn't really affect it too much. Maybe made my yellow just a little bit darker, which is fine. Said we're going to be going for a yellow to red fade. These are nice and yellow. All right, I'm going to dry these off, reset, get ready for the next stage. So I have my scales set up on a slow drop motor that I just turned on. It basically does, 3 revolutions per minute, and I've got it hooked up to a string tied up above. So they're going to slowly get dropped down into this other color. The other color is red, so that's going to give us a nice fade. So the orange or yellow and yellow fades into orange, which fades into red. And so by starting off with yellow and then doing a dip in red, the first spots to touch right here are going to get the most color. So they're going to be the most red. And then as it goes up, that section's going to be in the dye less. So it will be a lighter shade. So it will fade into kind of a lighter red. And that lighter red mixed with this yellow is basically going to give us an orange. And then we will leave the last inch or two completely unsubmerged. And then that will give us that nice fade that we're looking for. Like this right here. This was a little heavy on the yellow to orange. This one here was just a white. It was basically a white, it was a really light jade, but it was kind of a whitish jade and only did purple. So if you look at the top right here, it's very light, and when we scroll down to there, it's super dark purple. So that was just a 1-color fade. We're doing a 2-color with this one here today. Getting a little bit of splashes, which I don't like because it's leaving marks. We're just going to let it go for now, but I can see a couple little splatter points there, but they are not really going too crazy, so hopefully they don't show up when it continues to dip down in there. But we're going to get about another 1/2 inch or so, then I'm going to take it straight out and go right into this water to neutralize it. Then we can see where we are and then see how many more drop dips we want to do or what we want to go with from there. All right, so looks like another minute here and we'll be ready. Love doing the dyes. They are really fun. This one's going to be a multi-stage, as I said. So once we finish this, whoa, that was a big jump. Not a fan of that. Looked like my string had a little knot or bump in it and it kind of made it pop further. So I'm going to go like this, bring off a couple more layers, give it a little dip like that, and then go right into the water. Boom, look at what we got. So you can see where that dip bounce actually happened. How about that? That went a lot darker and faster than I thought it would. It's always an experiment. You never know what you're going to get. All right, I'm going to wind this back up on there a little bit, get it up and out of the way for us here. Turn off my motor, and then we're going to check this out. Red really goes fast. Really, really fast. That is a fun little fade. Not as subtle of a change as I want, and you can see there's just a little bit of a bump right there where it popped in. All right, I'll move this out of my way a little bit. Get me a towel here, kind of dry these off and see if we can kind of work this fade a little bit. Not sure if I'm going to be able to, but that's the thing, is once the dye has taken hold, there's not a lot you can do. You can make it darker, but you can't really make it lighter. So where we are here, that fade, it does fade out. It's definitely lighter here than the super dark red there. But I'm going to try a little freestyle drop here. See if I can get that line to fade a little bit better. So let's just try it. Ready? So we're just going to go in. None of that really matters. It's right about here where it starts. I'm just slowly dropping. Boom. And rinse. Do that again. Get down to that point. Slowly drop. And rinse. Teaching you all my tricks today. Sometimes it's real easy. The fade works great. Sometimes you gotta give it a little extra love. We're looking for a nice kind of uniform fade. It's getting there, actually. That looks better already. I'm going to do that a couple of more times. Couple of more. Why not? Okay, so into there. And a slow drop. Rinse. See how that's working? Some colors will not work that well for this, but it seems the red, I always kind of forget, it seems to go really quick. So you don't need to heat red up anywhere near as much as some other colors. I think we're already getting somewhere. You see that? Okay, maybe one or two more and we'll be happy. Get it to there. Slow. Turn that back on and just heat this up just a little bit so it helps. I had turned it off to slow that down and noticed it was lighting my rag on fire. Can you smell that through the camera? Ugh, gross. Okay, so one more time. It's a slow hand drop. Alright, I'm liking it. So the water does neutralize the dye pretty much immediately, as you see here. When you take it out and it still has dye on it, it's still sitting there and it still can have an effect. So if you just took it out and let it sit, that drip would kind of move around and kind of subtly change your dye job. But by going into the water and giving it that quick rinse, it neutralizes it much quicker. All right, now we are talking. One more. One more and I'm going to call it. There it is. All right. We have our fade. Let's get to the other parts and away we go. The next stage is going to be some acid etching to these parts right here. What we need to do is we need to put a little resist around the moving pivot sections so that they stay nice and smooth. I'm going to use a fingernail polish for that. We'll speed time lapse through it and then get to the etching. I have tied everything up on these strings so they're easy to dip, and now we can get to the acid etch part. So as you see, I put some fingernail polish around the resist areas to prevent the etch from happening right there. It should all be hidden nicely and underneath the scales once we get it put all together, so it shouldn't show. I have My acid right here mixed up with some apple cider vinegar. You need to be in a well-ventilated area. Be very careful. Wear protective eyeglasses. Do not splash this on anything you do not want to get it on. And let's drop this stuff in. All right. I also wiped off the blade to remove any fingerprints or marks, since they can show up and then give an uneven coat. So we've got a nice polished blade ready to go. I'm going to drop that one in, and we are all set. It looks like we're going to now let it sit. Well, that was an adventure. After these were done, I took them out, I rinsed them off, and then I wiped off the fingernail polish. You can see that's what color it was. This is the final color. It's a little splotchy because I'm touching it. Once it's all done, you go in and wipe it off. It'll be nice and smooth and even. I noticed that the marks, look at the marks on there, the way they pop out. They didn't take the acid etch the same. Some of them, they get buried and kind of covered up, but these, it seems like they still pop out really nice, which is cool. Then I did the pivot section on these right there, so you can see the difference. It's now this gray charcoal, but this kind of dull gray etch, and that was the shine. These were very shiny beforehand. There's the clip, and then we did the die with this little fade. Well, let's get it back together, see what it looks like, see if we want to continue doing anything. I wasn't sure if I wanted to acid etch these or not. We'll put it back together, we'll see what everyone thinks, and we'll go from there. All right, we've done it. I didn't put the clip on because I'm not sure if he is a lefty or a righty, so I'm going to leave that off, get a hold of him, and then make sure I put it on the right side for him. Let's see what we got. A little dry. We can put some oil in the pivot, but check it out. Let me get a rag here. Get a nice little even wipe off. I found that right when I finish one, it kind of gets a little splotchy for a while, but then after it kind of cleans up. Maybe someone has some comment, like put a little oil on it or something and wipe it around. But this looks good. It is a little dry. I might need to loosen that up just a little. Blade is centered nicely. What do we think? So I did not acid etch the pivot or the screws, everything, and I guess these little back pieces, which I probably could do. Although the blade does spin around that, I probably need to resist that section in the pivot, but I could probably do these, do the screws. I don't know if screws get messed up from the acid etch or not. Comment below if you know anything about doing screws and pivots. This feels like the action is great. We have a custom one for Waylon, this Artisan Cutlery. Dual KDK Customization action. This was all shiny in there. Now it's got that matte gray. I like the way that the markings didn't take the etch. That's really interesting the way that worked. I'm not sure why it did like that and got darker on some other ones. Comment below if you know anything about that either. Action seems nice. I hope Waylon enjoys it. I'm going to get a hold of him, find out what side we need the pivot or the clip to go on, have some pictures for him, see if he wants me to try to do the rest of the hardware or just leave it as is. Let me know what you think about it. Another one in the books, KDK style. Stay sharp. We'll see you soon.